Alrighty, how's it going, guys? This is Amanda from the Mountain House Library, and today I'm going to show you some science experiments that you can do at your home. Now, before we begin, I do have a couple suggestions, tips, things like that. First off, kids, as always with any science experiment, make sure you ask your parents before you start the experiment. These are not dangerous experiments that I'm going to show you, but they can get messy, so you want to make sure that your parents are okay with it before you begin. The second rule is safety first. Now, like I said, these are not dangerous, but you always want to be careful whenever you're doing a science experiment. That means don't touch your eyes, don't touch your face if you're doing a science experiment. You don't want to get anything in your eyes or your mouth or your nose or anything. So if you happen to tell a grown-up so they can check and make sure that you are safe. Now, the third one is for grown-ups. Grown-ups, these, like I said, can be messy. So you probably want to put something down wherever you're doing your science experiments. I am going to personally do mine at a dining table, and I laid down a towel for it. But you can put a placemat, napkins, whatever, just in case they fizz or get messy and something gets on the table. Now, the fourth rule, or it's not really a rule, but it is a suggestion that I have for you guys to keep in mind, is that it's okay if your science experiment does not come out exactly like mine shows. That's one of the cool things about science. It's all about learning and discovery. So even though it may not be exact, you can find yourself finding something new, finding something even more exciting. All right, and now with that in mind, it looks like my sidekick is telling me it's ready to go. So I'm gonna move over to the dining lab and we can get started. Okay, so to start out, we're gonna go ahead with my two favorite ingredients when it comes to the really poppy chemical reactions. That's what we're gonna focus on today, chemical reactions. So, first off, we're gonna need baking soda and vinegar. Now, a few of you watching this, you already know what this is gonna do if I combine these two, but I'm gonna tell you a little bit about the science behind it. See, what's going on is that you got some stuff in this vinegar. It's called acetic acid. And you got in the baking soda something that's called bicarbonate. Now, when these two combine, they create something entirely new, and that is called carbon dioxide. So what I have in a glass right here is a little bit of vinegar, and we're gonna add some of that baking soda. We're gonna add some bicarbonate to that acetic acid. So what you're gonna need is you're just gonna need a little spoon here. And you don't need a lot of baking soda. A little goes a long way, I'm warning you guys right now. So that right there is going to be enough to show you guys what's going to go on in here. So, you guys are watching, and got a whole bunch of fizzing right now. That is your chemical reaction happening. You can steer it, you can do whatever you please. But ultimately, it's doing that fizzing thing. It is going crazy. It is creating carbon dioxide. Now, if you don't believe me that something is being made, we're going to go into another experiment using these two ingredients, using that vinegar and that baking soda. And we're going to see just what's happening with that gas, what's happening with that carbon dioxide. So for that, I'm going to need, again, my vinegar. I'm going to need my baking soda. And I'm also going to need a bottle, which is right here, and a balloon. Now, as I move these aside right here, so you can see I already got my vinegar in the bottle here, and I have a balloon. So what I'm going to do with the balloon, and there's actually already some inside of here because I got that prepared ahead of time, is I'm going to put some baking soda into the balloon. Now you may notice that the lip of the spoon is a little bigger than the lip of the balloon there. That can cause a little bit of that mess I was talking about. The way to fix that is with the funnel. Now, if you don't have a funnel, it's okay, you can go ahead and make one. I personally use a piece of paper. Move that aside right there. And all you do is you just kind of roll it up, just like that, until you make something that looks kind of like a horn or a telescope. As long as there's a little bit of a hole at the bottom right there and a bigger lip at top, that will work, because now you have something that fits right into the balloon. And if you needed to, you could go ahead and add more baking soda. And there you go. No mess. All right, so I'm going to move my funnel aside right there. So now we're going to see what happens. We already know that when you add baking soda to vinegar, we just saw what happened. You get the fizziness, you get carbon dioxide being created. Well, there's also something else going on, because there's not just vinegar in this bottle. There's also a bunch of air. And that's what makes that happen again. So what happens when you put the top of the balloon, if I can put it on top, you put the top of the balloon over the bottle. Now suddenly when I squeeze the bottle, you can see this here, the balloon's inflating. That's because I'm pushing the air out of the bottle into the balloon. So now we're going to see what happens when I add the baking soda that's in the balloon into the vinegar. So now suddenly you have a reaction where the carbon dioxide gas that's being created in there, because gas takes up more room than a liquid, now that is filling up in here and is pushing the air out. And since it can't get out of the balloon, since it can't get out of the nozzle there, it's going straight into the balloon. And so it's inflated. And as you can see, even as the reaction ends, the carbon dioxide gas is still there. So your balloon remains filled. All right. Now we have one more experiment to do with the vinegar and the baking soda. So we've seen it, we've seen what it can do, we've seen that carbon dioxide gas, we've seen the fizzing. Now we're going to see what it does to other ingredients, other items. And for this, we're going to need our baking soda, our vinegar, and a red cabbage. Now this is where the grown-ups come in, because the grown-ups are going to have to boil this for a little bit. About 20 minutes goes. Now what will happen is that when you're boiling it, you'll see the water change. It will turn into an either bluish or a purpley bluish color. Very similar to this. That is our cabbage juice. Now cabbage juice does some pretty interesting things when you have it be exposed to different stuff. And so we're going to see what happens when we expose it to vinegar versus baking soda. And actually, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen right now. So I'm just going to go ahead and pour a little bit of this right in here. And you guys are going to watch. Because what's going to happen is the acetic acid is going to react with that, and it's going to change color. Swish it around, and now it is a very bright pink. So now we know that acetic acid reacts with bicarbonate. We're going to get that carbon dioxide and all of that in there. So we're just going to add a little bit of baking soda into this mix and see what happens when we create something new in this cup. Now what's going to happen is when I put this in, see that reaction starting to happen again, and when you stir it on up, it turns purple. So these are some fun experiments that you guys can do at home with baking soda and vinegar. And let me know how it turns out. If you guys give this a try, you can go ahead and put it in with the cabbage or do what you want. And I'm hoping to see you guys next time. Bye.